What's happening, everybody? Ian Walsh here, Hard Money Bankers, joined my partner Ryan Walsh, Hard Money Bankers.
Yo, happy Friday.
So I don't. There's not a whole lot of news for the whole week. It's kind of there wasn't anything to talk about, but SANDARALLY Complete.
Now, what does that mean, Ian? SANDARALLY is complete.
So the SANDARALLY is the stock market where there's a dip in the market and they rally it through Christmas. They call it the Santa Rally. And they started this dip with Omicron, which obviously is a joke, and to scare everybody, rip the market down a bit. And we kind of talked about this earlier in the month when we were like, you know what, that doesn't seem like the end of the world to me. Like, it doesn't seem like a questionable scenario. Not everybody's not keeling over and dying from getting Omicron. So it seemed like a very solvable scenario, and it was just used as a scare tactic. And it appears to be that was the case. So they ripped it down early in the month, sets up for the Santa Rally that we were talking about. And then, they completed it with the Fed meeting when everybody's wondering about interest rates, which, the answer really didn't matter what the Fed was going to say, right? It was going up. It was completing the rally, all-time highs, back to the top kind of thing. So,
well, now, as you say that, what's happening right now?
Yeah, market's bouncing pretty hard off the all-time highs. But you still have, we haven't taken out I don't think we've taken out the Omicron low, right?
No, but we didn't quite hit all-time highs, but, you doing some yard work there?
You know what? It's a warm day, so our yard work guys are like, we're on it. So I'll have to mute as I go. Yeah, they're like literally like, I think I can smell the grass from here. So.
Christmas cutting. Yeah, no, all good. I guess where I was hinting at is like, well, either that or they're not done. They're not done cash grabbing the funds, right?
Before the end of the year.
Yeah, there's enough time to make another move, right?
Another move would be insane. Because you're really going to have to do that through Christmas, right? So the market's going to slow down pretty heavily, like next Thursday, Friday, probably be kind of deadish Monday, and then you have the New Year. Like, they'd have to make some pretty wild moves between now and then. It's possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible. We've definitely seen some wild stuff. But I think we're setting up for our Q1 bloodbath setting. We still have the polar vortex inbound. Still don't understand. So hopefully the guy that made that comment is watching the show. I thought I did talk about the polar vortex.
Yeah, I think he was saying we don't have the episode where we initially talked about the weather being we didn't have it labeled polar vortex. So
I did, though.
Not the type. No. That episode was, but the previous one. So we talked about that several weeks ago, right? I'm like, I don't remember which episode it was.
That I can't help you with.
Yeah.
But
you got to watch the show every day, so you know what we're talking about.
And take notes.
Take notes, right?
Taking notes. So the thing with that, I just wanted to bring up the topic today. There's really not a whole lot to it. It's just straight up the Santa Rally's complete. If you look at all the other news headlines, there's not a whole lot going on. Did you have anything on yours?
Two things, actually. One, I am starting to see some more, hey, maybe this isn't good that Evergrande just defaulted news coming out, right?
Okay, I didn't see that.
So there's some additional companies in China that are now tying themselves to Evergrande that are saying, hey, if they can't make payments, I can't make payments, right? So that chain reaction on the news front is starting to come out, and I do believe the Chinese market is feeling it, but it hasn't quite entered its they haven't timed it yet with the U.S. market.
It'd be good to time it with the Q1 scenario. Kind of everything sets up for Q1. So,
well, they can start it all now, right? But before anybody really starts panicking, right?
I don't see. Anything's possible, but I don't see.
Yeah, so just calling out something that I am seeing in the news front. And the other thing I want to talk about blows my mind on this one, that the NFL is stating they can now test to see how likely somebody who has tested positive can transmit COVID. I forget what it was called, something like the cycle level or something. And if they're below a 35, they're not likely to spread COVID and they can play.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
How
It's
much
like,
bullshit can you just throw at people and they will just accept?
it doesn't even like they're like, all right, if it's below 35 on the fourth Tuesday,
Yeah.
following the last Tuesday that we had a full moon,
Yeah.
you're very unlikely to spread COVID.
It's science.
It's science, yeah,
And,
because of the waves and the gravity.
if you disagree with me, you're misinformed. I mean, anybody who knows Ian and I, like, we are not political, we are not Republican, we are not Democrat.
But it's just getting bizarre.
It's getting bizarre. You know, however you feel, you know, about the situation, like, you got to be like questioning, like, what is going, like, this just doesn't seem.
I can't imagine that. Is it policy, or are players going to be like, what are you talking about at this point? Like, I don't even. Nobody's gonna be able to follow it. Everybody's gonna be like, "Are you able to play for Sunday?" I don't know, maybe. Like,
it's happening right now. So Baker Mayfield, the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, is he's on Twitter. He's like, "Yo, NFL, make up your mind. None of this makes sense." And he's, you know, he's got a lot of he loves publicity, right? He does like commercials and all that. So we got a comment here from Aaron. What's going on, Aaron? NFL has cutting edge research. I mean, you're not wrong. They probably do, but at the same time, it's probably also made up on a lot of it. So,
I like to
know, the cutting edge research on concussions too, right? They're
yeah. How'd that play out last night, huh?
Oh my gosh, that was, if anybody was watching the game last night, that was hard to watch. There was an injury that it looked kind of like spinal related or something nobody's ever seen before. Even the announcers were like,
I've never seen that. That was, I mean, his eyes were closed. I mean, he was just in a straight up seizure or shutdown or something. It was like his body just said no.
I did not appreciate the TV just constantly replaying it and in like slow motion. Like, can you imagine like the family members of that person? Like, what are you doing, Fox? Yeah, I did not. I thought that was bad TV for them to do.
Yeah, I mean, that was they had that shot, like they really got a camera angle like right at his face, which was like when you saw him hit the ground, his eyes were closed. You're like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah, that was a pretty freaky thing. They saying a head injury, but it didn't. I mean, I guess anything can happen when you hit your head and your brain hits a certain way. But when you watched him like in like rerun, it didn't look like it could do something like that.
Any other NFL play that you've seen 1,000 times.
Yeah, like I've seen guys hit their head and get like rocked off the turf, and they get like a concussion or they're woozy when they stand up. Daniel Jones, but they really like it. That one was like, we've seen that a million times. Like, why did your body just seize up? So
yeah,
I don't know what to make of it, but it seems like there's.
I
would imagine there's some underlying issue there with the scenario. I don't think that it was, something was compromised going into that game or something like that. It just seemed really weird.
Right. Makes sense.
So yeah. So here's the Baker Mayfield thing. So I guess he calls out the NFL. I mean, good. Like, I mean, does the NFLPA they haven't said anything yet? I assume, right?
No, I mean, I think it's all reason. So they're figuring out how to, I'm sure, shame him and silence him. But
yeah, I don't. I mean, I'd imagine more players are going to start saying things like that. Like,
exactly.
Like, come on. Like, what do we? What do you even? It's silly at this point. I mean, it's over, guys. It's over.
Right.
Like, let me just inform everybody. It's over. It's done. Stop feeding the beast. So,
well, that's what I got going on. It turns out you and I are in the real estate market, and we do lend. So, how did you take the Fed news of they didn't move the interest rates, but they said they're going to end the tapering by March, which means they're going to stop dumping money, which I don't understand why they can't be like, we're going to stop today. But anyway, and then they're going to increase interest rates 2022. What's your take on that?
I mean, from the surface perspective, that's kind of what we anticipated, I guess. I don't think it was really, second quarter. I think we were talking about on that call, on a conference call. internally in the company that, second quarter of next year for the real estate market could be interesting. Or third quarter? We say second or third quarter? Third quarter.
I mean, all around that.
Yeah, like late
time.
second quarter, early third quarter, you could start to see the impacts of, you're going to have things like companies are going to slowly get themselves pinched. If you're, a bank-backed lender or something like that, you're going to slowly feel this pinch. And when I say slowly, I mean over like 6 months. I mean, not as, but when I say slow or fast at this point, I compare it to COVID, right? So was it as fast as COVID? Nothing will ever be as fast as COVID, aside from, in something that happens in like a 1 week or 1 day time frame, like 9/11.
Right.
So the hurt or the bleed will be over like, a 6 month time frame. What happens is if you're bank backed, it's just like your margins get squeezed. So if you're bank backed, you typically rely on volume with low rates. And if you're at 7 or 8% interest, and the bank's got, has the money out to you at 3, and now 4, and now 5% interest as it creeps and creeps and creeps. And then eventually they just banks will start pulling their lines because they can't deploy enough capital. It creates like this like bleeding effect that, because you're trying to hold on, you're trying to not really look in the mirror at this and just say like, I don't see it, So that's kind of what you see. And that is something to be prepared for first, second, third quarter. But I don't, the economy is not built to survive at this, I don't think it's built to survive at all. I don't think it's built to survive at these rates. It's just not. It's a fluke. It's an anomaly. Looking back in history, it'll be something that you go, holy cow! Remember that time? Like when we were at 0%, they were thinking about negative interest rates. For all I know, they'll still do negative news. But you have, I think it was just what countries just collapsed overnight. Did you see that?
No, I think we might have talked about it. So was it like Turkey or something?
Turkey halts all stock trading as currency disintegrates. Central banks powerless to halt collapse. So, those kind of things happen. And, are we at a point with the dollar where that could happen? Who knows?
I mean, I think it's possible because, I still don't get how this isn't like blasted on all news sources that we just doubled our currency in 2 years. So take the last 250 years as a country and just double your currency like that. Like that's intentional, right? It's not a somebody wasn't like, what happened? Like, I think we'll be okay, right? If we just
or like, oh no, I didn't even realize that. Are you kidding me? We doubled it? Like, I wasn't printing that much. No way. Like,
right.
It's not. It doesn't look. You don't look at it like that.
Like whatever the fallout is of this is quite intentional. So whether or not they're trying to kill the dollar, get us over to a digital currency, that kind of thing, my opinion is they may try to move towards a global currency. I do think that's always the plan. NWO from the New World Order kind of thing.
The question though is really like, can they? The fight is against the decentralized dollar. The decentralized currency versus the centralized currency. Can they centralize a digital currency and get the world to bite on it?
Well, I mean, China's already trying. I mean, I think, and so I was looking to buy it. I was like, man, get in on it now because
sure.
And you can't. So only if you're an insider can you get it right now, which is
so the whole. If anybody doesn't know, like the foundation, which may be lost, the whole foundation of Bitcoin might get lost in the mix. Like as this grows, because most people know Bitcoin is like this thing now, right? But when Bitcoin first started, the whole point was that it was decentralized and anonymous transactions. That was like what it all started as. You can do it anywhere in the world, and it's decentralized. Like so, it can't. There's no. You're not reporting to any kind of government. So, but now people don't really know that about Bitcoin. They don't even know why they're doing Bitcoin. So if you get it large enough. And just like you just keep saying the word crypto over and over, people don't even know why they were doing it to begin with. So it defeats the whole purpose. And you end up being like, I don't know, the government's crypto looks good. It's like, like we tried and it failed. We really they made a real effort to try. That'll take Bitcoin off the map, though. That's the one thing people talk about.
Oh yeah, anybody who's got money in Bitcoin is just waiting to pull all their money out of Bitcoin and throw it into the next thing it's going to be here for the next 100 years, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to know before the average Bitcoin person. and you're just gonna see it. But that could be another 10 years, right? So like that's why like I'm not saying
Yeah, you can make a lot of money. I mean, the other thing is
Yeah.
Bitcoin could keep growing. So there's also a race. There's also a race for governments to get something out there that can stick, because you can't 10 years. I think you've lost. I mean, Bitcoin, it's by no means taking over the entire world's economy, but it's not. I think you could pretty much go anywhere in the world at this point and say Bitcoin, and somebody knows what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't the case just like five years ago. So that speed is pretty intense, and so and then you have like a lot of countries use it more freely than we do, and we have ATM showing Bitcoin now. Bitcoin's getting used. You're seeing a lot of financial institutions using it in terms of like PayPal, stuff like that. So it's being integrated to become easier and easier to use. So it's like seamless. So I think the governments have a race against that to beat that, because it's that would be interesting if they lost that race, because they could. If enough business is being done on Bitcoin and enough people use it, and it could just take over as like the world currency.
Yeah, but then you're up against government policy, and that they're not. They still have a lot of weapons to use. The government, I mean,
government policy and just straight up muscle, like
that's what I mean. Mm-hmm.
So they could all of a sudden, they could. I mean, there's a lot.
I'd say they're not worried about it, but I would also say they are still moving on it. Like, hey, we got to resolve this before, because I mean, like to your point, what you're just saying, like everybody kind of knows of Bitcoin. Like, what's the currency of Turkey? Do you know? You know what it's called?
I think it's the lira.
All right, the fact that you said I think, right? And if I said, all right, what about India? You'd be like, you got to think like rupees, right? You got to think about it for a second. But Bitcoin, you don't even think about it, right?
So right, it's just a word. It's just a word. I bet that word is very easily, like in other countries too. Just everybody know, like any. I'm sure it's Bitcoin in other countries too, right? I don't think it's so. It's a universal word.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting.
All right. Till next week.
Sounds good. Alrighty.